Hello friends, TechMan Pat here. Today we're looking at the server build that I've been talking about. If you haven't seen that video, we built a server rack on wheels. It is part of a video series I'm doing in collaboration with the Content Inception guys. So check out their website below. Thank you very much for sending me this over for review and build. Today we are looking over something called the Hoarder H04rd3. I was gonna say E, but yeah, it's the Hoarder. This is a server for the home. It is enterprise level per se. It has a very fast RAID card for 8 mechanical 3.5 or 2.5 drives, and of course you can put solid state. That doesn't really matter if it's mechanical or not. It has some high flow fans inside, and they did provide me a bit of a card to make them a little bit quieter, because you know what, it is in your home or in your business. You don't want these things flying off like the jets on Top Gun. So we're gonna have a look at this today. We're gonna explore this device, and of course we're gonna build it together. As you can see, it's quite a large little beast, and we're going to talk about the project itself, because the idea is that you're supposed to reuse your old hardware, and we have a lot of hardware to reuse. So before we start opening up this, I'm going to show you what hardware we're going to be reusing. So let me just slide this to the side. So first of all, we have a lot of old hard drives that I have utilized in the past. These are over 5 years old or so. The 12 terabyte one I think is a recent one that I got, but it's not being used because it is out of an actual like plastic portable hard drive. So I don't know if it's going to be blocked for using. Sometimes they put blocks on being able to use them, but I have a whole stack of these hard drives that, you know what, they just don't fit in normal computers very much. Most new computers can fit 1 or 2 and that's it. But you know, if you need space like me where you're making lots of videos, you need to store your videos somewhere, this is going to come in really handy, because it's quick access, and of course it means there's a lot of storage. So we've got hard drives and we've got some other bits and pieces. Now this actually is new, so I'm cheating a little bit, but let me tell you why. I have another server that died. I thought it was the power, because we had a power outage. It all went screwy and I think it died. So I replaced it with this power supply, but then while trying to take it apart, I was like, oh, I might as well just quickly test it. And it turned out to be a screw that fell in to it and just shot it. So I was able to flick it off again, get the screw out of there, and it worked. So now I'm stuck with this Corsair RM750 because I bought it, and I can't really return it just because, you know, it's not what I need right now. So I am going to reuse it. It is the only power supply I have in the house that is spare, so I got lucky with that. But the whole point is, you're not supposed to use brand new parts. This isn't particularly expensive. I think it was like $130 odd anyway. Got a bunch of cables for the RAID card provided by the guys at Content Inceptions, and we also have a bunch of bonus stuff. Let's have a look. We've got a mouse pad. I believe this might be the fan controller that I said, guys, I need something to make it quieter. So let's have a quick look. It must be, right? Yep, there's the power and a 4-pin for the fans, and yes, I guess that's just the speed control right there at the bottom there. Now, if you're interested in seeing what camera I'm using for this, I did a review of this. It's the Link 360. It is from the guys Insta360 who make those Insta cameras. Got some power things to change. This camera is fantastic because it is really quick to actually focus on the item that I'm showing you. So hence, I can grab pieces of stuff and show them to you guys without having to refocus the camera. So I'm really keen to use this for unboxing like this. Let me know what you guys think. We've got some stickers and we've got some more cables for the fans. I'm gonna put the little bits back inside because I think we're gonna need them fairly soon-ish, but not right now. So let me put that back in. Cool. And we have, of course, the motherboard. It's a Gigabyte H170. It is secondhand. It's not new. Oh yeah, definitely used. It has an M.2 drive already in there. Now, the thing I'm worried about, it is secondhand and it is a little bit bent. I don't think it'll be a problem, but we have to test it out. And we have to see if it works. We've got obviously the CPU there, and it kind of curves around that line. So what I'm hoping has happened is this bit where the CPU is holding has been very solid, and the rest is just bent. Now I have used products that are hurt even more than this. So I'm just hopeful that nothing has actually broken, because it can bend, you know, it's plastic, but some of the bits in there might have moved around. So let's see what happens. We've got a face shield there, face plate, face shield, and let's get started in taking apart the hoarder. Now once we put this together, we're gonna go put this into the rack. I have been told by comments below this needs to go in the bottom of the rack. Now for those folks who have been following this channel all about tech news, NBN news and things like that, I apologize. I meant to do a massive video about the hack that happened with Optus, but I got pretty darn sick over the week. Not just like, it was really bad. I had to get an IV drip. It was pretty crazy. And so I've really been out of action. This is the first day I've been back into it. I thought, you know what, this might be a little easy project just to ease myself in. Not too hard, didn't have to think much. Now luckily Content Inceptions did actually think this through pretty well, and that means I don't have to think, because all we have to do is take off this top bit and the whole thing can slide out. Now the exciting part about this is how easy it is to actually get it in and out of the inside of this chassis, and certainly it'll make things easier in the future to swap things out. Once we have the cover off, there's no other screws on the side, so we probably have to get the screws at the bottom. There looks to be 2 screws right there at the bottom, and let's just quickly undo them. Okay, and yeah, awesome. All right, cool. So obviously there is some real hardware in here. Let me see if I can sort of share that with you guys. There we go. You can see it, the RAID controller there. We've got some more screws actually. That was probably inside. So we've got some sort of fan controller again. Yep, it is another fan controller. Yes, it is. It says fan on it, but I think I'll use the other one to make it quieter. That's my understanding. And we've got a whole bunch of screws and standoffs. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now the part that I'm talking about is right here. I wonder if that power supply doesn't have it, we can use these maybe to plug these in. But of course we have these cables right here for the RAID stuff that can go in right there. Cool. So we have that all ready. This is something that they provide for you. What they won't provide is actually the hardware that goes into it. So it's, like I said, best to use second-hand hardware because it just makes use of old hardware. It's kind of like recycling in a way. You don't need your server to be, you know, a top-end gaming machine. You just need it to be able to store some data. So it doesn't really need to be extremely powerful. So we've got some front-side USB as you saw before. So we'll do a bit of an overview in a second as we start putting in the hard drives in the front. We've got obviously the switches for power, reset, hard drive power LED. We've got USB there. So obviously USB 3.0. There's one and then USB 2.0 for here. Hopefully this motherboard has both of these and hopefully this will fit. You can pull this whole thing out, but then these cables will come out. But I think I'm just going to do that just to make life a little bit easier. Let's pull that out fully. There we go. And we just have to deal with these. Now these are very, very loud. Let's grab that motherboard. Should I test it before I put it in? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I should, but I don't want to. Okay, so cool, that fits. That's really nice. We've got the shield right here, and of course it goes. Oh, I always forget these, but not this time because I'm just thinking about everything I need to do. And I said this would be a less thinking video, which I kind of hope it ends up being. Okay, cool. Now, one mistake I always hear people making is putting their motherboard on a steel base. Chuck it on something, you know, non-conductive. That'll save your motherboard. Again, in this case, it's secondhand. You know, it's old, supposedly. I'm sure it's gone through the ringer already. It's not going to die. It's not going to die if you put it on some sort of metal surface. It's going to die if you put it on something that's got static electricity on it. And even then, I saw a video of Linus Tech Tips. He did a video with that electro guy, and they electrocuted a computer many, many times over. And honestly, nothing happened. So I'm actually not too bothered. Like, you know, people wear that thing on their like wrist. If I'm building computers for a living and every day I'm building these, you know what, I'd wear it because at some point during the day I'm gonna capture enough static electricity in my hands that I might actually zap something, but It's just so rare, but if I'm doing it for a living, you just don't want to take that risk because that's, you know, that's on your head, that's your warranty. If you're building it at home, don't build it on a carpet, put it on a desk. I think that's a big thing. I remember being a kid, 9 years old, and building computers that I found on the street. Literally, you know, when people throw out old computers, I used to just pick up all the pieces and try and build a working computer. Not because, well, actually it is because I didn't have a computer, but because I just found it funny. It was like Lego. It was like Lego. It was the next level of Lego. And I'm sure people who have played Lego can attest to it too. Am I missing one anywhere here? That seems all right. So that's that, it looks like. So these are the screws that are provided. Looks like we've got different screws to use for that. So the screws that came in the packet for the standoffs is not the screws you should be using for the standoffs. They go in, they feel like they're going in, but then some of them spin in place and actually they end up not fitting in properly. So there's another packet with a lot more screws that has everything you need. Cool, that's done. Very good. Now we need the power supply, but before that, I do want to add that little controller for the fans to make it not loud. We should put it maybe, seems like a reasonable place right at the top there, because there's a screw there actually, so we've got one more screw to put in. It needs to be a place close enough for these, so hopefully, oh, see, that won't reach. They did give me extensions though, so I do have an extension provided. Awesome. That should get me there. Oh, is that not an extension for that one? Oh no, they're all 4-pin and these are all 3-pins. Oh no! Future Pat here. The guys at Content Inceptions have let me know that the retail box will ship with a 4-pin extension for the fan. So no stress to you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna have to dig up a 4-pin extension from my own collection, which honestly won't be a problem at all. But let's plug these two in here. And there we go. Okay, let's push that out. Okay, 1, 2. There we go, there we go. It's broken. And we can slip that in here and it fits perfectly. Awesome. We'll get that screw that came in the other packet, not related to the packet with a standoff, and voila. Have to move these around a little bit somehow to not get them in the way of the fans. We've got some G.Skill RAM here. Let's have a look how much that is. This one, I think it's 8, must be 8 gigs or something. We have DDR4 320 CL16 1818 Ripjaws, but doesn't say how much. 16 gig. Oh, 2 16 gigs. Perfect. So luckily I found my old stack of things. You know how it is. You've got that one old motherboard box, not this one anymore, and there's just a whole lot of crap in there. But hopefully we can find a 4-pin. My boy is also in the room. He's just woken up and he's enjoying his time on the floor. He's exploring. That's 3-pin. Oh, 4-pin extension. Well, this just swaps it for 4-pin 2, 3. Okay, that should be enough of an extension to at least control it. Let's just go with that. But we just want to see if it boots up at this stage. So there you have it. 4. Okay, cool. Let's try and tuck that in there somehow. All right, next, we need to put in our, yes, the RAID card, wherever that is. I keep talking about the RAID card, but I actually forgot to even take it out. It fell on the floor. Here it is, Adaptec RAID card. This has the ability to connect all those 8 hard drives into your single motherboard at high speeds. That's pretty cool. It's got a lower thing for smaller servers, but yeah, this is it. And damn, I'm pretty sure this is really neat. It's got a bit of a cooler on it. It must get a bit warm. I think I'm going to put it in the one over here. So let's make some space for it. Bend that out. Is that the one? Yeah. I have to admit, so far this box has been fitting pretty well. Everything's, you know, fitting in really well. What you doing there, buddy? Playing with my bike? Of course he's playing with my bike. What else could he be doing? Okay, that should give us hopefully enough room to run the cables just above here into there. So we've got the RAID card, we've got the fans hooked up, the motherboard, CPU, the RAM, we didn't have to do anything, it was already slotted in. We've got M.2 hard drive right here, which will be the boot drive for something like FreeNAS or TrueNAS. I think it's TrueNAS now. FreeNAS has changed their names to TrueNAS. It's a free for use at home, basically enterprise level NAS software or OS based on Linux or Debian, or whichever one you want to call it. I'm not expert, but it's the only Linux codes I know are for TrueNAS. We could hook those cables up, but there's obviously the power, the PSU to come, which it's gonna be messy here, so maybe we should do that actually. So yep, there we go, there's one and a second one right here. There we go. Perfect. All right, power supply time. Like I said, this should have been old or secondhand, but you know what? From another point of view, if out of all the parts you get a power supply that's new, it's probably not the worst thing to do, just because that will mean that your server will run a little bit more efficiently, and hopefully it'll just mean your server runs a little bit safer, especially if it's going to be on constantly. That's always a bit of a worry in these things, you know. Server grade PSUs are expensive. It's white, again, this is not meant for it. I might swap it out at some point. I don't know, I bought it from PLE, so check out their website. I've been buying stuff from them all the time, to the point where, you know what, I'm not gonna go and return something that is my mistake. Maybe because it's more embarrassing on me than it is on wanting some money back. Okay, motherboard power is here. I don't want to use too much. I'm glad this is a modular one. Looking at the amount of space you have here, I think you do need to use a modular PSU. It looks like we've got a SATA power here, but we've also got two non-SATA ones, I guess. Do I just use one SATA just to power this and then do the other one here? Yes, I think I'll do that. That seems like the better thing. So SATA, okay, and we need our CPU cable, PSU CPU. Yep, there we go. Okay, that's that. And then we have these 4-pin powers. Cool. Yes, we've got some screws on here, so it does come with screws. Thank you very much, Corsair. PCIe CPU. Okay, cool. That's all the cables we'll probably need. Very good. And we'll slip that in now. Because there is no ventilation on the bottom, the fan will go upwards here. That's the only ventilation we can have. Again, safer that way. And let's pull out these screws. Okay, this is interesting. We are fitting it just, it's flat against the metal on the bottom. There's no space, which is, look, it's okay. It's a very tight fit. You can fit probably a longer one, but I don't think you need to. So if you have a smaller one lying around, it might even be a better choice for it. White looks cool. I know it's making a bit of a name for itself nowadays. You know, the point of building your own computer nowadays is more about the looks per se. Not that it never has been, but usually it was all very DIY-ish and looked really tacky sometimes. Nowadays you get all these like sleeved cables and PSUs that are being sold on the fact that they're white or like fully black or whatever it might be. So I reckon this looks really nice. I really like it. If I'm ever building another PC for myself, or oh and behold, probably my son at some point, maybe not anytime soon, he's only 9 months old, but at some point I'd expect maybe I'll build him. Now he'll want RGB. Okay, so this is that's going to power the 8. Actually, I wonder if I should put another one of these to be a separate line into the 2 that are there. So just the 1, 2. I wonder if it should be a separate line each. You can only have 4 hard drives on this each. So I think it would be safer to have another one, but this time I think we'll need to use that adapter that came in the box over here for this one. So we're gonna have to add another one to make sure that it's, again, safe. This is running 24/7. I'd prefer for it to be as safe as possible, so let's put that in there. It's a bit annoying that you have to put this and that on there, but better than not, right? Okay, so let's plug these two in. That's going over there. and that's going to the CPU, which is right here. There we go, and this one is going to be powering here. So this is shaped downwards, so I'll put that in here. Okay, that's plugged in. Nice, nice. You know, I did make one mistake, but since it's over there, so the switcheroo cables, all this stuff, I need to now push through. It's going to be a little bit fiddly. Put around there. There we go. Pow, pow, pow. Cable, 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 and okay, it'll reach fine. All right, we'll keep it through there. Let's get these cables done up. We've got USB, so there's only one USB 3. Let's get those fans out of the way. There we go, that was easy. Clipped in right away. We've got the USB 2. The reason you have USB 2 is because sometimes some OSs don't recognize USB 3, so you want to have a USB 2 so you can boot off that. I wonder if it'll reach. If it's not going to reach, I'm not going to bother. We might as well try and get it to there. There we go, USB 2.0, right there. There we go. NIC is your network interface card. We don't have a network interface card, so we don't need to plug it in. Power to this, is that the right way it's going to go in? No, I had it the right way and I still couldn't plug it in. There we go, there's power to that. Fans are on, these are plugged in. And the last thing to do is these, the most hated thing ever in built-in computers. Honestly, I know why, because this isn't standardized across motherboards. But I wish it was. I wish there was a standard plug that everybody just used, but it's not. So let me get a little bit closer to it so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, hard part is done. Let's slip this in. Actually, we've got these two to go. This one doesn't really matter which way it goes. So this is priced at $480. You're expected to have your own sort of hardware. So for a case like this that comes with the RAID, I think it's well priced. That bit here is the expensive part. The rest of the metal chassis isn't, but fitting it all in, well, there's MasterCard. All right, future Pat here. We have to make one slight adjustment of the location of the RAID card. Now, I've been told that it does get a little bit hot, and we probably need to move it away and give it some more airflow, move it closer to the fans that are here that are blowing this direction. But also I realized this motherboard only has one slot that's 16x and this one is only 4x. So if we're going to fill in the hard drives, all 8 of them, we want this RAID card to be working to its best capacity, which will be on this PCI slot on X16. So we're just going to swap this one around with that one, and that way we basically get, we don't have to rip out any of these things, but we get better performance from the RAID card, and we'll just obviously have to move a couple of cables around. All right, so we've got these switched over. This should be much better for obviously the heat going through and giving it more space and pushing out the warm air through there, but also obviously the speed of the 16x PCI slot will be better for this RAID card once the hard drives are filled. Now obviously one thing you'd notice is this is much shorter than a standard server case, as opposed to, you know, it fits in this size. It's almost double for an actual server case, hence why there's a little bit of trouble in putting these cables back, because we're using, you know, non-server grade stuff, as in, you know, a power supply that's, you know, not actually made for a server. So we have to fiddle around with the cables to make sure it fits properly. Oh man, I am clipping cables left, right and center. That's the, oh, that is tight. Wow. Okay, that is very, very tight. Ookily dokily do. How much more room do I have? Okay, that's it. So the CPU needs to spin freely. Yep, CPU spinning freely. This cable needs to be tucked down a little bit. Okay. Cool. And then the final bit is plugging these back in, and then this bit goes on here. So it's got a little bit of air to pull through, which is cool. And then we've got this to go on. Yeah, just a little bit of a squeeze, just a little bit. Now we can put these side screws back in. All right, there you have it, folks. Let's have a look on the front. Power on, reset, lights, NIC, USB 2, USB 3.0, holder. Gonna put some stickers on it. There is a filter on these, which is cool for bringing in the air. Press the button, pull out the cage for your hard drive. Press the button, push it in. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's nifty. That is very nifty. The screws are gonna be for the hard drive. There are lights on here too, which is cool.
All right, let's install the hard drives, and it's very simple. There are 2 screws on one side of the actual carriage, and we just put them in and flick them straight in. There is a little bit of a click when you push the hard drive in, so make sure you do that.
Geez, okay, pretty good weight. All right, you know what? Let's try and boot it up. I think that's the last thing to do. All right, all plugged in. We've got a HDMI to mini HDMI coming out into here, and the USB 3 is going to power this portable screen. It was the quickest way I knew how to just test that it works. I'm going to flick the switch on the power supply. Nothing's blown up yet. It's received power through the USB 3, which is cool. That means I should be able to get into the settings. We're going to choose HDMI quickly just to make sure it is, and then the on button is here, and something's spinning. Actually, all the fans are spinning, and they're really quiet. There you go. Look at that. Hey, it works. I love this little screen, and I'm kind of keen to use it in the actual build. There it is completely built, and you know what? I'm so impressed with myself that it's on the first try, because I was just really hoping not to have to redo this whole thing. We've got a lot of stuff to go through, but it works. And let me try the fans just so you can hear the difference. This is maximum fans, and this is low. Almost off. This is really good. So, big thanks to Content Inceptions for sending me this box. It has been an absolute pleasure building in it, and I'm very impressed with it so far. And you know what? It worked on the first go. That motherboard worked, and all is well. So thank you very much. I'll catch you all in the next video, part 3. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye.